O heavenly King, Comforter, Spirit of Truth, Word everywhere present and fill us all things, treasury of blessings and giver of life, come and dwell within us, cleanse us of all stain, and save our souls, O gracious one. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Michael Lofton Show on Reason and Theology. Let's talk about the latest headline that's out there right now. Pope! Marxists and Christians have a common mission. That's the one that's going around now on social media. So let's talk about what the Pope actually said. But before we do that, let me remind you: hit that subscribe button. Help me grow Reason and Theology so I can reach more people with what the truth is. Okay, well. So let me ask you a question. Let's say you're a Catholic, or some other type of Christian, maybe a Protestant or Orthodox, and you're at an abortion clinic, and you are protesting against the murder of innocent babies, right? Let's say there's a group of atheists there who want to share in that mission. Maybe they don't believe in God, obviously, but they do believe in the dignity of all human beings from the womb to the tomb. Let's say, you got some atheists out there who just realize rationally, we should not be killing innocent infants. And they want to team up with the Christians there in protesting against those things. Maybe even they want to be able to form some kind of collective body here to fight against abortion um, through legislation, right? Things that, we could do to fight against this horrible evil. Okay. Would you team up with the atheist on that point? If you were to say, no, no, I just cannot in any way participate in that because they don't believe in God. So we can't work with them to fight against the murder of innocent babies. I would say that's probably the wrong approach. Sure, we can have these discussions with them about why there really is a one true God. And yeah, we can have all that. But I don't think that there's an issue with working with them in this common goal to end the murder of innocent infants, right? I think that all reasonable people would have to concede that point. Now, let's say that we're teaming up with the atheists to fight against this issue, right? And a newspaper comes along and they report on this event. And they then note that um, they say Christians and atheists have a common mission. Would you say that that's an accurate way to portray what is taking place here, this phenomenon? Or would you say perhaps that's a little misleading for a headline since it might give people the wrong impression if that's all they see? Christians and atheists have a common mission. Okay, in a very qualified sense, that's true. But I think the majority of people would just misunderstand that headline. Well, that's kind of what's taking place here. Let me show you my screen. Now let's take a look at this headline by Edward Penton, who quotes another headline. So he's getting this from someone else. Quote, Pope, Marxists and Christians have a common mission. Now, when you hear that, you might scratch your head and say, what? The Pope said that? That's weird. What do Marxists and, communists and Christians have in common? What? Now, again, he gets that from right here, this place. Or it says, again, headline here, Pope, Marxists and Christians have a common mission. Okay. Now, let's see what Pope Francis actually said in this audience. Very, very short. It's not long at all. Well, let's see what it says. Dear friends, good morning. I am pleased to welcome you, the representatives of the acronym DIALOP, who for many years have been committed to promoting the common good through dialogue between socialists, Marxists, and Christians. A fine program. Now, there's nowhere in here where Pope Francis says Marxists and Christians have a common mission. It's nowhere in here. What he says is there is this organization that is committed to promoting the common good through dialogue between socialists, Marxists, and Christians. And that's a fine program. It would be similar to having a dialogue between Christians, atheists, Buddhists, and Hindus on what we can do for the common good in society. And we're going to have a dialogue on that. What can we agree on to help make society better? Obviously, there's some serious issues we can't agree on, and we're going to continue to criticize each other on those points. But what are some things that we could do to better society? That's all it is. So this is really just a nothing burger. The way it's being portrayed is somehow that, Pope Francis is in favor of Marxism or communism, and they're basically just the same thing. That's the way this is being presented in the way it's phrased. And yet, that's not at all what Pope Francis has said. I'll read to you what he says. It's not long. A Latin American writer once wrote that people have two eyes, one of flesh and one of glass. With the first, they see what they look at. With the other, what they dream of. Never lose the ability to dream. Today, in a world divided by war and polarization, we run the risk of losing the ability to dream. We Argentines say, and I don't know how to say that, meaning don't back off. This is my invitation to you as well. Don't back off. Don't give up. Don't stop dreaming of a better world. For it is in imagination, the ability to dream, that intelligence, intuition, experience, and historical memory come together to make us be creative, take chances, and run risks. How many times over the years have great dreams of freedom, inequality, dignity, and fraternity, reflecting God's own dream, produce breakthroughs and progress? With this in mind, I would like to commend you to 3 attitudes that I consider helpful for your efforts: the courage to break the mold, concern for the less fortunate, and support for the rule of law. First, to have the courage to break the mold, to be open in dialogue to new ways. At a time marked by conflicts and divisions at various levels, let us not lose sight of what still can be done to turn the tide. Instead of rigid approaches that divide, let us cultivate with open hearts discussion and listening, and not exclude anyone at the political, social, or religious level, so that the contribution of each can, in its concrete distinctiveness, receive a positive reception in the process of change to which our future is linked. Second, concern for the less fortunate. The measure of a civilization can be seen by how the most vulnerable are treated. Let us not forget how the great dictatorships, we think of Nazism, discarded and killed those who were most vulnerable: the poor, the unemployed, the homeless, immigrants, the exploited, and all those whom the culture of waste turns into refuse. This is one of the most terrible things. A politics that is truly at the service of humanity cannot allow itself to be, cannot let itself be dictated to by finance and market mechanisms. Solidarity is not only a moral virtue, but also a requirement of justice, which calls for correcting the distortions and purifying the intentions of unjust systems, not least through radical changes of perspective and the sharing of challenges and resources among individuals and among peoples. That is why I like to call those engaged in the field social poets, for poetry is about creativity And here it is a question of putting creativity at the service of society in order to make it ever more humane and fraternal. Do not be afraid of poetry, creativity. Let us not forget this ability to dream. Finally, the rule of law. Everything said thus far calls for commitment to combating the scourge of corruption, abuses of power, a lack of respect for law. It is only in honesty and integrity that healthy relationships can be established and that we can cooperate confidently and effectively in building a better future. Dear friends, I thank you for your commitment to dialogue. There's always a great need for dialogue, so don't be afraid. I pray for you and I ask that you be granted wisdom and courage in your work for a more just and peaceful world. May the gospel of Jesus Christ always inspire and enlighten your efforts and activities. Thank you. That was it. And so, what's interesting is the way people are portraying this. If you just read it on social media, they then just copy and paste this quote: Pope, Marxists and Christians have common mission, which he didn't say. They then paste that on their Twitter and social media, and then everyone in the comment section starts to just express their disgust and hatred for Pope Francis. He's a communist, he's a Marxist, he's a this and he's a that. It's as if these people are psychotic. They cannot be bothered to see what the Pope is actually saying. It's reasonable. And yet, no, don't want to hear it. I just want to show how angry I am with Pope Francis. It's called Pope Francis derangement syndrome. That's what we're seeing. I've even seen all of a sudden on Twitter, even priests chiming in to posts just showing this headline and expressing their frustrations and grievances with this communist Marxist Pope. I think that we've become so foolish that all we do is read headlines and we no longer actually listen to what the person actually says. That's the mark of a fool. And it exposes our biases and our hatred and the corruption of our hearts. And that is being witnessed now by everyone who is rational and reasonable at this point. Pope Francis has brought that out of many, many people. So, though there's a lot of confusion and chaos from misreports, twisting of words, you know what we're saying? We're seeing who the people are who are actually sincere, who are giving the benefit of the doubt, giving the judgment of charity, engaging in reason, actually seeing what a person has to say before just slamming them and judging them and going wild on social media. It's at least bringing that out. We're starting to see, who are the voices of reason and who are the voices of slander. So, anyways, I hope this was helpful and just kind of squelching the fake news that's already being spread all over social media. That's what it is today. Tomorrow it'll be something else. The next day it'll be something else. The next day after that will be something else. And round we go, right? It's this constant, endless circle and cycle. All right, that's going to do it. Hit that like button and the subscribe button. Of course, check me out at patreon.com/reason and theology if you want to support RNT and what I'm doing here. All right, we'll see you later. Are you a Catholic thinking about converting to Eastern Orthodoxy? Or are you a Protestant discerning whether or not to become Catholic or Eastern Orthodox? If so, I have the book just for you. It's called Answering Orthodoxy. It engages all of the arguments that Eastern Orthodox use against the Catholic Church. I respond to all of them. I show that they are in error, and in fact, they're inconsistent, because the things that Orthodox are objecting to are in fact found in their own tradition. So the fullness of the faith can only be found in the Catholic Church. Check out the book right now at shop.catholic.com for your copy today. Hey everybody, just wanted to tell you about my new free ebook, Church Chaos, Biblical Insights for Confused Catholics. If you are a confused Catholic and you're thinking about leaving the Catholic Church, or you're thinking about converting to the church, but you see that there's a crisis in the church and you're just unsure, this is the book for you. Again, it is free. Just simply go to reasonandtheology.com. You'll see a pop-up that comes up on your screen. Just simply click on it and you'll put in your email and it will provide you the free PDF ebook right then and there. Please check it out if you're confused about the situation in the Catholic Church today. reasonandtheology.com.